Record.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Brooklyn Tea Party meeting for April 27th. I thank you all for appearing almost 100 days into the Trump administration. Boy, a lot has been done within that 100 days as of Tuesday coming up. 100 days. What has Joe Biden done in that last 100 days? Well, he got a lot of sleep involved. Somehow he flew to Italy, to Rome. It's nice for him. I'm sure he thought he was the Pope, but he wasn't. But on that fun note, Donald Trump has done a lot. He's taking on the establishment. He's taking on the people that want to make sure our country comes last, and he is doing the best he could do with all these roadblocks that the left is trying to throw his way. Well, we will always fight, and he's a fighter, as we could all remember when he got shot, when he popped up and said, fight, fight, fight. Mm-hmm. That's what he'll do. He'll fight for America to his last breath. Now, we should make sure that we take on these leftist scum by always challenging them. Don't let them control the narrative. They love to control the narrative. We have to make sure we have our voices out there. They have the media, they have everything, they have the courts, they have everything you could think of. They are in academia, they're in the corporate America. We really, I don't know, do we control farms? I don't even know about that. I don't know what the hell we control anymore when you think about it in the crux of industries and stuff like that. The left has gotten their tentacles into everything. They're on the Supreme Court. We have Republicrats, right? Yeah. Amy Coney Barrett, or whatever the heck her name is, and Roberts and friends. These people will always, on the big issues, side with the left. Why? The left, on big issues, they will always side with the conservative. Never, never. But yet, I guess we have to be above everything, right? No. Enough is enough. America comes first. We have to keep on fighting. With that fun note, let's all rise and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. Just a brief note. We're going to have our next meeting in May. What date did we say? I forget what it was.
19th,
I think it was the 19th.
I'll tell you.
Well, our next meeting is going to be in May, and I believe it's May 19th, if that's a
No,
Sunday.
May 18th.
May 18th. May 18th is a Sunday, so that will be our next meeting, just to jot that down. But we have to make sure we keep on fighting. Well, look at this, old Tish, as she's affectionately known in the woman prison circuit. Old Tish James. Well, 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 look who's a hypocrite here, huh? Old Tish accused our president of doing what she's done herself. Well, you know, look, she married her father about 30 or 40 years ago, I think, in 1983. Look, I don't know if that's legal in certain places, who knows? But, right, I mean, just ask,
Yeah, Omar married a brother.
she
There
did.
you go. Yeah. I guess, you know, legal.
So maybe it is, I don't know, I'm not a law expert. But, so she married her father, good for her, yeah. Hope it was a loving relationship. But look, she married, bells of St. Mary's are ringing. Anyway, so she married her father, she lives in New Jersey, apparently she's the Attorney General of New Jersey. So, and then Virginia.
No, that's Phil that lives in Jersey.
Oh, that's right, I'm getting confused. These Democrats just don't know where to live, right?
Enough for her to lose her license.
So it's Virginia. Virginia is for lovers. Maybe that's where they went on the honeymoon, her and her father. I don't know. Look, I wasn't there. But she's hypocrites, right? That's all they do. They love to do that. They love to project. They love to say, oh, Nazi, you're a Nazi. Yep. Meanwhile, aren't you the ones writing SWAT stickers, you moronic freaks? Right? Aren't you the Nazi? But that's what they do. Nazi, 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 Nazi. If you say a lie long enough, it's going to become what? Truth. Because the media will say, a Maryland dad,
Yep.
a Maryland dad today was Maryland dad with, we can't say MS-13 and gang, trafficking and whatever the hell else, beat up the old wife, right? Huh? Was expecting him with a wife beater shirt like he's from the Midwest or South or whatever the hell, right? Yeah. So she, at the end of the day, this is what they do. They project, they lie, they get away. Yeah. So let's hope old Tish pays the piper by going to wear a new, slimmingly good orange, right? Nice little orange color would be good. Because she will look beautiful in it, I think. It gives it a nice glow. Because she kept on saying, Orange Man is bad, right? She kept on, she campaigned on it, right? Lawfare, lawfare, lawfare. That's what they're all about. But then, old Tish is saying, he's coming after me. Oh, my stars, roll out the fainting couch. What do you expect? Well, you did it, so you should pay the piper. I'll see where this leads to, because a lot of times we do things and we get excited, and nothing happens, right? We shall see what happens with old Tish. But on that fun note, let's turn it over to our Vice President, and then our main guest speaker, which will be Sam Fisher. So, Vice President, please come on in. Thank you.
Hello everybody, welcome, welcome again, welcome Sam, our guest. I'm going to tell you a story. I always tell you one, I'm going to tell you an interesting one. And I met this guy many years ago. His name was Izzy Handler. He was a young boy. His father was in Germany. He was a textile man. And his father got sick, and Izzy was a pretty smart kid. And at 17 years old, he took over the business. And he started to do great. He started to make money for the family, support the family, became pretty good. The Germans came, and they started to take away the Jewish-owned business and giving the Jews a hard time. Now, Izzy had a friend, an older lady. Her name was Virgo Rejek. Now, this took place in Hungary in 1943 when the Hungarian Jews were last to be persecuted. They did protect us for a while, and that's where my parents are from. Izzy turned over the business to her, and they made a deal. Izzy told her, you run the business, you be the face, sign the paperwork, and I'll run the whole show behind the scenes, and you'll do well. And Virgo did well. The business prospered, and she did very good. As the Germans came closer, and they started to take the people off the street and put the Jews in the concentration camps, Izzy ran over to Virgo's house. She says, they're going to kill me. They've already killed a lot of my family members. Can you help me? She says, what do you want? And without hesitation, she says, you know what? You're going to stay in my back room. I'm going to hide you here while this war goes on. And Izzy hid over there. One day, Virgo comes home and says, Izzy, we're in trouble. My uncle's a police officer, and the Germans know that somebody's hiding here. They're coming. You got to run away. Run, stay away for a day or two, and come back. In the middle of the night, Izzy climbed out the back and ran into the woods. Ran as he was getting hypothermia in the middle of the winter, and he saw a cemetery. He went into the cemetery, and he just lay down. He says he heard the dogs coming and coming closer to him. He looked up and he saw, now this is what he said he saw souls jumping over a brick wall. He just saw it. He got up and he jumped over that wall with them. As he landed, he was on an open street. He knew they were going to catch him any moment. He walked over to the first house and he was ready to ask for help. He thought about it a moment, then again he was ready to knock, and then finally he knocked on the door. As the guy opened the door, they were both in shock. This guy Frederick used to be the family chauffeur. He grabbed Izzy, brought him in, he hid him for 2 days, and then Izzy went back to Virgo's house and he lived out the rest of the war. Izzy, whole family was killed out. His pregnant sister, his parents, everybody wiped out. Izzy met a nice girl by the name of Malki Rosenberg. And Malki, as we do in the Jewish families, when the bride sits in front, the mother sits next to her in a place of honor. Virgo was asked, even though she wasn't Jewish, to sit in the place of honor. Izzy, he came to America, immigrated to America, made a little bit of money, started to make more, and he always sent Virgo money so she could produce and live well. Well, we found out afterwards, many Jews later on snuck into Virgo's house, and she helped many people escape the persecution. Her name is Gentile among the righteous in the Yad Vashem, a very holy place in Israel. But a final note, the house to the right of her was blown up, and the house to the left of her was blown up. Her house was never touched. I'm not going to bring God into this, but even though us Republicans do believe in God, not like the Democrats, we have to understand something. That we have to be honored when we do business, when we run elections, when we do anything. It's always with honor. And our friend Sam over here, that's our guest today, he's an honorable man. He stood there. I know it is to go to jail. He stood for his sanity. He went through a very tough time, and he came out stronger and better. Where do you work out, by the way? I want you to know something. We all are happy you're here today. It's our pleasure and honor to have you. And I told this story to show you that when you are a person of honor and you stand for the righteous, that's what we do. By the way, as of Monday, tomorrow, I will be the official Republican nominee for City Council. There's no primary in June. I will be going right to November against Felder, who our Republican chairman endorsed against my wishes. Thank you so much. Come on up. Say, oh, he has to introduce himself. Come on. CJ. What do you mean you are in jail?
Well, that's great news, Heshi, that you're being a nominee in the 44th City Council District. So that's wonderful. Thank you. Good job, Heshi. And hopefully onward to the City Council. And where do they meet anyway? In the City Hall?
Yeah, we have an office here in Brooklyn. I'm going to have my office will be open all day long from 6 a.m. to midnight.
I know you don't sleep.
And I will have an office in City Hall, and you're all welcome to come in and
Very good.
if the Republicans come out, I will win.
Yes, they need to come out. Everyone, get out there, help them out in this campaign. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the distinct pleasure to having introduced you to our guest speaker today, a January 6th political prisoner, okay? What they did to them is disgusting. Due process. Due process. As our wonderful freaks in the media keep on saying, and the idiot moronic freakazoids in the Congress of the Democrat side of the aisle and Senate. Fifth Amendment right, due process. Silence of the Lambs, Clarice, on the January 6th when we have clear video evidence that the door's just wide open. Come on down, you're the next contestant on The Price is Right. And they're waving them in, moving the barricades. He said, come on in. Walking behind the velvet, oh my God, I think someone broke a window. I'm sure that was the FBI. But maybe someone's foot was on the desk of Nancy Pelosi. Maybe something happened there. Oh my God. Oh Lord. Remember when the Capitol building burnt down that day? Well, I don't. Remember all the statues in the Rotunda and Statuary Hall? Remember when those January 6 guys smashed every statue, dragged them like Christopher Columbus things, and broke them all? Remember that? No. Well, if you do, then you're in the Twilight Zone, because that never happened. What an insurrection that was. My God. Ashley Babbitt getting killed without a gun. I believe 4 others or whatever also died that day from the pepper spray. And some people getting hit in the head also, and the lady I believe died that way. So there was others, people that died that day. But you keep on saying, they're insurrection, they're taking over. There's no damn insurrection. What type of insurrection is when the guy that's running the insurrection asked for 10,000 National Guard to be there that day and denied? What a horrible plan he came up with. I'll do an insurrection, but I'll ask for 10,000 National Guard to prevent what I want to do. That makes sense, people, right? It doesn't make sense because the media controls the narrative, right? Well, not really much anymore because we have alternative ways of talking and getting our news sources. But still, they still control stuff. We need to stop that crap. Always, like I said before, fight back. fight back against their stupidity, because if they keep repeating the lie, it becomes truth. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, give a warm round of applause to Sam Fisher.
Hey guys, my name is Sam Fisher, J6, defended at one time, prisoner. And I'd like to thank you so much for sharing what you were sharing, Glenn. It was actually my honor to do this for everybody in this country, and he said, something about it's an honor to have me here. It was, looking back, this is actually something that, even though it was very difficult at the time to go through, I'm glad that I had the opportunity to go and, protest the stolen election, because ultimately that's what I went there for. I don't believe to this day that Joe Biden won that election. I think our country went to hell in that 4 years that he was in power. And I just want to tell you a little bit about what actually happened instead of the media spun story about what happened on January 6th. Because my story is like 1,600 other defendants. We all went through the same thing. I went down there to protest a stolen election. I went there alone, and I was at Trump's speech at the Ellipse. I was about to go home. I was eating a hamburger when a bunch of people came up to me and said, "We're going to the Capitol, let's go." And being a 32-year-old rambunctious kind of guy, I was like, let's fucking go. and I went down there, and I was pumped up, and there were agent provocateurs that were embedded in the crowd that we still don't know who they are, because even under, just honestly, even under Pam Bondi's Department of Justice, we don't have any transparency. We still don't know how many agents were there. We don't know how many assets were there. Who was really there on that day? We still don't know. But it's my belief that the people that were actually leading the charge were federal agents. Just saying. So I wound up walking through an open door. I didn't break anything. I didn't destroy any property. I didn't hurt anybody. I was in there for maybe about 15 minutes walking around, and I left. And I went home. And about 2 weeks later, the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force, which paired up with NYPD, basically arrested me at gunpoint in the middle of the city with about 30 agents. They had media there that were filming it. It might have actually just been a civilian doing it, but they were ready to do it, and they took a video of me getting arrested. They staged everything from my truck, because I was actually living upstate New York. I had all my stuff with me. They took out my firearms that were legal because I had no criminal history. They put them all out on the street. They took pictures of them, and then they zip tied my hands and threw me in solitary confinement. While I was there, the FBI came into solitary confinement and began basically playing psychological games with me. They put pictures of my face up on my window, and they were basically telling me that I was going to do, 25 to life for this. Like, their words, not mine. They said, "Oh, you're fucked. I hope you have a good lawyer, because you're never going home now." and I had no experience with this kind of. I'd never been in prison. I'd never been in jail, and I just was not used to this type of situation. So I believed them. I really thought I was done for. And they shipped me off to ultimately 13 different facilities over the course of 4 years. New York State, the FBI was cooperating with New York State prosecutors, figuring out the best way how to legally, make my life a living hell. So New York State charged me for the guns instead of the feds, and the feds charged me for the trespassing. So I have the felony from New York State, which I'm still on parole for, and I have the misdemeanor from the feds, which I was pardoned for. You would think that the whole thing would be wiped away with the pardon, but due to the way that the legal system's set up, it's not that simple. So I still have a felony from this. I'm still on parole, and the pardon, while it was great, and I'm happy that Trump won, it hasn't actually remedied my situation. And there's many other people, like my friend Dan Wilson, who's a great guy.